12 months ago, this president said disagreement must not lead to disunion. But yesterday he invoked the bloody disunion of the Civil War, to demonize Americans who disagree with him. He compared, listen to this, a bipartisan majority of senators to literal traitors. How profoundly unpresidential. Look, I've known, liked, and personally respected Joe Biden for many years. I did not recognize the man at the podium yesterday.
What's up, everybody? Mitch Ojeda here. And Moscow Mitch is what you get when you strip a man of humanity and any sense of human decency. Moscow Mitch is a snake in the grass, and according to several books that I've been reading, he's been that way his entire life, going all the way back to his college days at University of Kentucky. Mitch McConnell was a master at deception. And for example, in this very clip, Mitch McConnell was attacking the president for wanting to support the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Do you know what that law is all about? What John Lewis dedicated his life to, why the president is willing to make any measure possible to ensure that this bill gets passed, and why Moscow Mitch is equally as determined to stop at nothing to make sure that this bill never sees the light of day. Well, I'm going to break it down for you guys and give you guys a civics lesson Ojeda style. But before I do, I have a favor to ask of each of you. The video is so important that I need it to be seen by as many people as possible. So share this video, and if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. That way you can stay up to date when I do my daily jackaloon roasts. John Lewis was a civil rights icon in this country. He marched with Dr. King, and he spent his entire life in public service right up until the day that he died in July of 2020. He, of course, had many accomplishments and passed countless laws that benefited the people that elected him to serve. But there was one bill, one law that was at his fingertips that he never got passed. And it was a simple one that most Americans take for granted. It was voting rights. You see, in this country, there are two sets of rules for voters. On one hand, you have people that look like me. I walk in, I vote, no questions asked. Thank you, Mr. Ojeda. Here's your sticker. Then there are the other set of rules for other voters that don't look like me. Some people in this country have to travel miles to vote. And when they finally reach their voting destinations, they're asked, "Where's your ID?" Well, I don't drive. I don't travel. Why do I need an ID? Well, you need an ID to vote, is what they are told. And then they are sent home without being able to cast their constitutional right to vote. Now, where in the Constitution does it say that you need an ID to vote? Did Thomas Jefferson have an ID on him? Republicans love to say that they're constitutionalists, that they want to abide strictly by the exact text in the Constitution, but that's only when it suits them. The Constitution says nothing about requiring an ID to vote. Now, it does say something about the 3/5 rule, but we don't want to talk about that anymore. In fact, Republicans want to make sure children aren't taught that in schools any longer as well. You see, folks, Republicans and Moscow Mitch are constitutionalists. They're hypocrites. They want to make it harder for black and brown people to vote because they don't believe their vote should count. Now, I have heard countless stories from people writing to me about how they were turned away at their polling station, or how they finally found their polling station only to find out that somehow somebody unregistered them and then they were no longer allowed to vote, or how polling station locations are changed without notice, leaving people clueless as to where they should go. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you need to understand that this happens mostly in communities of color. Now, why do they do this? Because they want to suppress the vote. They want to make sure that only their voters are heard, leaving them in power essentially forever. John Lewis saw this, and he fought his entire life to stop it. And that is his legacy, that we must do everything in our power. We must do everything we can to pressure everyone that we need to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.